not dealing with your stuff, if you're not dealing with your issues, if you're not learning, if you're not building your brain and developing your intelligence, if you then become very reactive. And that's not a nothing. That is something that you physically built in your brain. And then that means everything you say and do just becomes this reactive, chaotic mess. You don't have to do that. You actually have a lot of control. You're not a victim of your biology. You control it, which is so nice to know. It's really
so very powerful. So do you have any strategies for people that, you've kind of mastered this, but people that are still very reactive? Are there any strategies that you can just give our viewers or give us even?
Yeah, sure.
To kind of...
Well, the 21-day detox you mentioned already. Now, we're putting that into an app called Switch, which I'm really excited about because it basically takes there's 5 steps that we go through when we're deliberate and intentional. And as we go through these steps daily, that's how we can redesign our brain. So literally renewing our mind is these 5 steps, and then that changes the structure of your brain. So the first thing is to be very deliberate and intentional about what you're thinking about and what you're feeling and what you're choosing. And to understand when you're deliberate about that is to understand that thinking always goes with feeling and feeling always goes with choosing. Those 3 go together. They're not separate things. When you think, you feel. When you think and feel, you choose. As soon as you choose, you're building a structure in your brain. So with that awareness, when you're aware that, okay, well, I'm thinking, feeling, choosing, I'm building a structure in my brain, I'm influencing my DNA. That structure, why is it so important? Well, that's the foundation of what you say and what you do. So a very important technique is to be very, very deliberate and intentionally, consciously deliberate about what you're thinking, feeling, and choosing. And I call that the multiple perspective advantage. Where you literally are designed to stand back and get a multiple perspective. You can stand back and observe your own thinking. And what we need, so that's part of that sort of kind of one technique, to be very deliberate, intentional, stand back, observe your own thinking, feeling, and choosing, with the awareness in mind that when you think, feel, and choose, you're building these thoughts, which are the roots of your words and your actions. So that's really one big deliberate, very, very good technique. I mean, there's so many different things that one can do, but being able to observe your own thinking is I would say, is a vital skill that we don't realize that we have. It's a really great technique.
Absolutely.
There's many more, but that's a good place to start.
Well, you have a new book out. I believe it's a devotional.
I've actually got 3 new books.
Okay, she has 3 new books. I want you to mention them all.
The devotional is actually a combination of just different concepts to help you daily, like typical readings for a day, on all the different mind-brain things. But I have a book called Think, Learn, Succeed, which really helps understand the power of mindsets, why it's important to have gratitude and forgiveness. And there are 15 different mindsets that we need that contain power. So as we are thinking, feeling, and choosing, we need to make sure that we are adopting these mindsets, because that's where the power is contained. So, for example, if you have a gratitude mindset, we all know we must be grateful, but if you understand the impact that you are having in your brain and your life, a gratitude mindset enables you to live the kind of reality that you want. For example, forgiveness mindset. We all know we must forgive, but when you see the impact in your brain, so that's what that particular book really goes into those.
I just want to hang out with you all the time.
Oh, that's so funny. Anyway, so that book really deals with how to really access the power of your mind.
And what's the name again?
Think, Learn, Succeed.
Okay.
And there's a great profile in there helping you to understand how you uniquely think and feel and how to build memory. So it's really important for preventing dementias and increasing your intelligence and that sort of thing.
And what's the second one?
Yeah.
Are the other two?
That's the most recent.
Okay.
The devotional came out actually the devotional is the most recent, and the Think, Learn, Succeed came out a few months before.
Got it.
And then I have one called The Perfect You, which helps you really understand that you're wired for love, that you have no structures in your brain or your body for anything toxic, that you're actually designed to be able to make good choices, that we're designed to think well, so that to understanding that whole science of how we wired and how to train yourself to be very deliberate and intentional about your thinking, which is that technique I mentioned just now. So the Perfect You really teaches you how to do that, and that's core. When I worked with my patients for nearly 30 years and I do clinical trials and things, one of the first things that we see as a vital component of mental health is this being very deliberate about your thinking, learning to be aware. So the Perfect You deals with that.
Got it.
And then I have another one called Think and Eat Yourself Smart, which deals with
My wife got that one.
food. Have you got that one? Okay. So it deals with the importance of you've got to look after your physical brain and body. So there's no one diet, but it's a lifestyle of eating food that provides nutrition. But I think the key thing about that book is that digestion is controlled by your mind. We always think eating is separate from your mind, but your digestive system is 80% controlled by your mind. So
Excellent.
Dr. Caroline Leaf, thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
You've really given us so much to think about, especially deliberately practicing and that allowing us to control our lifestyle. So thank you so much for your time.
my pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks
So
for
where
having
can people
me.
get your books? What's your website?
You can get on our website, drleaf.com.
drleaf.com.
Yeah, and the new app called Switch is also available at drleaf.com, which is an app to help you renew your mind.
Wonderful.
All the stuff we're talking about.
So download the app Switch, and you guys go grab all of those books, because we need mental health and we need life abundantly, as Jesus paid the price for.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so
again.
much.
Look forward to hearing the message tonight.
Thank you.
God
Thanks
bless.
so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome, Kyle.
Welcome, Kyle. Amita, to the show. We're so great to have you
so
here.
Much. Thanks for having me.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
So, you guys, we have Kyle Amita, President and Creative Director of Opt2 Creative Lab. Welcome. I had the privilege of viewing your panel discussion today where you were digging into the VAR world, and it was pretty amazing. Kyle, tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm really glad to be here, and I think the opportunity to expose young folks in the church to that kind of technology is crucial these days. There are a lot of big corporations and a lot of big companies out there. They're dominating this industry right now, and they're creating things to manipulate us to do, to think in the way that that we don't believe.
That's right.
And manipulation is a very dangerous ground. So I think having the opportunity to show the church and show the community that this technology is and it's reachable, and it can solve a lot of problems, because I think that's the main objective of technology, solving problems.
Absolutely. And so it brings us to our next question. What role does media play in advancing a ministry or a business?
Media?
Yeah.
Well, media in general, I think the media, in terms of the shift that's happening now, is what we got to understand. Media is not what used to be anymore.
That's right.
All right. So there's a collective of elements that makes media. That used to be, we would say, television and radio and things like that. Now it goes way beyond, and that's why I think AR breaks that gap and takes us to the next level. And now, I think the most important thing is understand what media is today.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same thing anymore. And when we understand what media is now, then we can apply that to what's to come.
Yeah. And so, Kyle, we're saying VAR, but I want you to tell everybody what that is. It's virtual augmented reality. Can you just explain to our viewers what that is exactly?
I know the terms can get very confusing. So we talked today about AI, VR, and AR. So, AI is artificial intelligence. It's when you program something on the computer, and the computer can evolve that code and type the code by itself.
Yes.
So VR, you get immersed into a completely different world.
Yep.
You don't see nothing here. You're taken to a completely different
And you're
world.
able to move around.
AR, you project digital elements into the real world. And that's what I showed in there, which I think is the fastest growing medium. And I think it's the next one to blow completely. AR. Because VR, I think like Hollywood, it's investing heavily on VR. There's a lot of money involved on it. But the regular consumers, the regular business entrepreneurs, they can tap into AR with any budget. And you don't need any special goggles and equipment other than your cell phone that has all of the technology that you need to experience AR and leverage on that on your business.
So earlier, when you projected the car into our sanctuary, all you used was your cell phone?
all I used was a cell phone.
Like he literally projected an entire vehicle onto our sanctuary.
And I'm looking for that vehicle until now. It drove away.
Kyle, one of the things that you also touched on today was source code, and us being the source code. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Well, the title of the panel was how the church can leverage faith into technology.
Yeah.
And I think we are focused. We're not focused on the right thing. We're only trying to understand technology with equipment.
Yeah.
And the equipment is not
Right.
what technology is.
Yeah.
So we are technology.
We are
because we are the
technology.
creative people
Yeah.
that are supposed to bring technology to
Yes.
life.
So good,
So
Kyle.
God built us with gifts. God built us with capabilities. So, and the world has been tapping into our code internally, and they are hacking into it, and they are manipulating that code so we can work for their purpose. So, I think what we have to do and what we're doing in this conference here is making people understand that your source code that was given by God, needs to be protected, but it needs to be decoded as well. Because if you go to a website and you go to the source code, you see the back end, what happens on the back end. Some people want to see how they use a certain technique on a website. They go to the source code and they steal that. And they reproduce in another website.
Exactly.
So that's what they're doing with us.
Yeah.
So they're taking what God built in us. I diminish you so you don't feel good about yourself. So I can take your code, which is your gift that God gave to you, and then I manipulate that to work in my favor. So if we don't make the church understand today that we are the ones they're supposed to alert the young folks especially, that listen, you need to protect. I even talk about antivirus, right? Making an analogy there, or your own browser, protecting that. The history of your browser has a lot of troubles in the past. Then everybody in the church is becoming personality driven, not vision driven. And the vision is not what the world is putting in us, but what God put in us.
That's right.
And the most important thing there for us to understand is in history, everything has been product and sales driven.
Yep.
Not anymore. Now it's brand driven.
Yes, it is.
So branding is experience. Branding is not your logo. Branding is not your corporate identity. Brand is the experience that people have. And branding is what people say you are.
Now that's something I need you guys to hashtag right now. Branding is the experience. Hashtag that, please. Branding is not your logo. It is the experience that people have. I mean, that's so very powerful. It's so very true. Are you kidding me? It's the experience, because I'm going to remember how I felt when I encountered Kyle.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Not how I felt when I looked at your logo.
Exactly. And unless we understand that as entrepreneurs, we're going to be targeting the wrong things.
Yes.
I'm going to
important.
rebrand. What is rebrand? If we don't understand that in the foundation of it, in the concept, we are doing the wrong things. And that's why all the other business out there, they're targeting us and they're being successful when we are just still trying to understand what we're supposed to target at.
Absolutely.
Exactly, Kyle. And you know what? Branding is more than just a logo. It is who you are. And then who you are, we're looking at the source code. So your message is very powerful. So thank you so much for
Thank you. This is a very important what you said right there. Branding is what people say that is, right? And what you are is what God say
Come on.
that you are.
Come on.
And so now us as entrepreneurs, we get confused because we want to be, if you are branding yourself, then you want people to say who you are.
Yeah.
But who you are is not on the concept of anybody else,
Come
but
on.
what God made you
Come
to
on.
be.
And so with that, please talk about why it's so important to keep faith at the forefront as an entrepreneur and business owner.
Absolutely, because faith, first of all, when you have faith, you're gonna have faith on yourself. Because you're gonna have faith that God put your source code in you, and that source code you need to decode and put that in action so you can create wonders.
Yes.
So that's when faith needs to start. But there's a really dangerous thing that a lot of entrepreneurs in church people are doing, which is using faith as a manipulative way of I'm trying to find the right word for it, to justify lack of organization, lack of planning, and lack of knowledge.
Straight with no chase.
So, look at God. He did it. No, listen, God did it in the beginning.
That's right.
Right? So you made it because it just happened. But God already gave it to you in the beginning, everything that you need to get it done. But your lack of organization cannot be covered by faith.
That's right.
Absolutely
Amen.
true, Kyle. That was very powerful. We really thank you for your time being here.
Thanks,
we
Andy.
absolutely love your words, and we're going to take this and we're going to move on forward with this in technology and faith. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, Kyle.
it. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Tiffany.
God bless. Okay, you guys, I hope that you're using that hashtag BLCJBS19. Hashtag BLCJBS19. I hope that you guys got some amazing quotes for Kyle. Branding is the experience. It's not your logo. It is not what people are seeing. It's what they feel and sense when they encounter you. At this time, we're going to take you guys to a JBS promotion for our open house that's coming up this Sunday.
Join us at one of our last spring open houses for the Joseph Business School's Entrepreneurship program on Sunday, March 24th, following the 9 a.m. and 11:15 a.m. services, or Saturday, March 30th at 10:30 a.m.
Joined JBS, and the Lord began to download an invention into my heart. And so I took the invention, and I heard what Pastor Winston said. He said, be the answer to the problem. And so the Lord downloaded inside of my heart my Window Buddy. It's a device that alleviates traffic stop anxiety. It gives you peace of mind and transparency. It's a two-way video for both you and the police officer doing a traffic stop, and it's HD night vision. And so the Lord said to me, let it come to you. I said, all right, Lord, this must be some good stuff. And he said, young man, I have to tell you what you have in your hand. You have the answer to racial profiling nationwide. Oh, did I say that the patent is pending?
Classes begin on April 13th. Last day for application is April 3rd. To learn more, visit us at jbs.edu or call 866-791-4JBS.
Welcome back to our 2019 Business and Leadership Conference. You guys, we are on day number 2 and we are having an amazing day. Once again, make sure that you are sharing our hashtag BLCJBS2019. That's hashtag BLCJBS19. Well, we have another guest with us, our very own Dr. E.L. Carnegie, who is one of my favorite people. He is our Dean of the Continuing Education Program and Development, and he is also the director of our prison ministry that's called RISE. Dr. K and the prison ministry are doing some amazing things, and he headed up a very awesome, just phenomenal panel discussion that Kyle was just talking about with some amazing people in VI and VAR and AI. Did I get it right? So we welcome you to the show. He's also, I think I covered all. Did I cover all of your titles?
You got to know. Just call me a servant.
Well, I'll just say he's an amazing man of God, and I appreciate the gift that God has put in him. So welcome, Dr. K. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dr. K, during the panel discussion, you touched on a lot of important topics, one of them being that data is the new oil. So data and technology are a huge thing. Can you expound on that a bit more, please?
Well, thanks for that. It did get talked about, I think, in the context of how data is being used or manipulated using VR and AR. And so we're in a world where data is king right now. And so if you think about how the panel presented itself, I think one of the things that they were trying to show us is that the big thing about data is that we need to be able to control that. And one of the things that Kyle talked about with the source code, and we're thinking about that we are the ones that have that source code, and we need to own it, and we need to benefit from it more than these companies are doing right now.
Come on.
Yeah.
So Dr. K, you moderated today's Faith and panel. As I said, it was phenomenal. So what were some of the standout moments or valuable advice people could recap just for our audience online?
Well, I think that we have the source code is one of the biggest ones, right? And there were so many snackable bites and memorable touch points that were said, this should be here. Buy the tape. Buy the tape. Or the CD rather. But I think that source code piece was really the biggest moment for us. And that we have the ability to write our own story. And I think that it was very thought-provoking that everyone was talking about what we can do once God touches our imaginations, and how it's not about the technology, but it is about the innovation, and that technology is just the tool by which we're able to innovate. So I think that those were some of the key points that we had, and that it was a first for us to have these kind of technologists talking about this technology and being able to demonstrate that right here in the sanctuary during that event.
Isn't it amazing talking about technology in the sanctuary of a church? It doesn't get any better than that.
You know, and you touched on that too. Source code was a huge speaking point, and even paradigm shifting our thinking about technology in general, because we usually think of technology as a tool for us to use, but technology is who we are as well.
Absolutely. I think that came a point as a pastor even said it, that God is the one who created the first technology, right? And when we think about revelation is a powerful form of technology. It is the most powerful form of technology. When you get that download supernaturally, God will put in motion, set in motion everything that you're going to need, all the tools that you will need to be able to innovate at a high level. And so I think what this conversation did was, in a very practical way, bring the whole conversation about technology from a 10,000 foot level, 30,000 foot level down to ground zero, so that we could use it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. K, for joining us.
Absolutely.
We're going to enjoy the rest of the conference. God bless you.
You're in this place, Lord.